Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Very, very, very warm welcome to the Machine Learning Africa webinar brought to you by Machine Learning Africa, ML Africa, and sponsored by Freshworks. This is a continuation of a series, a number of AI and machine learning webinars that I'm pleased to be participating in. And based on the attendance from last time, I understand there are quite a number of us from across the African continent and beyond. So we're coming to you from wintry Pretoria in South Africa. It's pretty cold over here. So for those of you who are in the Northern Hemisphere, we're so jealous, and we really hope that you are enjoying your summer. We've got a very, very interesting lineup today. Some experts and good friends and mentors of mine, in fact, they're going to talk to us about AI and how that starts to impact customer experience. As you can all well understand, in these disruptive times, designing robust and effective digital customer experience is very essential for organizations to succeed. And exceptional customer experience leads to improved client retention and revenue growth. So that business case is super clear. Many organizations are deploying AI and other technologies in order to improve their customer experience. And so since we met last time, I actually went and did a bit of research on AI to understand it for myself, because the kind of AI that I have been exposed to as a consumer is probably only a small piece of the AI technology that exists. What I am finding is I see AI as part of a bot, part of chatbots. And that experience, or those experiences, have led me to understand that not all AI works, right? And chatted with a couple of friends who are experts in the AI industry, and I understand there are different types of artificial intelligence. The one that I was exposed to in chatbots is what we could term process AI. So that's a very much a cut and thrust kind of menu-driven approach, right? So they try and anticipate, or not even anticipate, they try and answer my questions after the fact and provide to me the information that should answer my query. However, when you think about client experience and customer experience, AI is evolving and needs to evolve even better, even faster, in a different way. And that is what we are calling, or what my friends and I are calling, responsive AI. Responsive AI needs, number one, a clear set of rules. Responsive AI needs, number two, it needs to know what it's been solving for. So what is the business problem or the opportunity that you're looking for? And we've learned through research and discussions that people think this is easy. It's really not easy. Responsive AI needs to look at hundreds and thousands of records of information, and it will look at and respond and anticipate client behavior with the intent of actually changing that client behavior. So how does responsive AI do it? Well, it looks at your rules, and it makes recommendations to clients and assesses the client's behavior, offering products and services until there's a clear understanding of what works. These are the products, these are the services that clients like, and therefore this is what they will buy. So we're looking forward to understanding a little bit more about AI, the AI world, what Freshworks is doing, what exists in the realm of academia that Prof. Mornay, a good friend of mine, will share with us. But for now, let me introduce the first speaker who's going to share something with us today. So we're going to hear from Ashwin Sankar. He's going to present to us on using AI and automation to transform customer experience. Ashwin is a very versatile professional with a flair for sales, business development, and customer relationship management. He's always looking forward to meeting new people and making new connections. After all, it's the people no one imagines anything of who do the things that no one can imagine. Today's event is sponsored by Freshworks, where Ashwin finds himself working. Freshworks is the parent company behind a suite of products that include Fresh Desk, Fresh Service, Fresh Sales, Fresh Caller, Fresh Team, Fresh Chat, and Fresh Marketer. These products are designed to work together to increase collaboration and help teams better connect and communicate with their customers and co-workers. Ashwin, very nice to see you again. Pleasure to be doing this with you. Looking forward to what you have to share with us today. We are going to hand over to you so you can share your screen, enable your camera and audio, and present to us on using AI and automation in order to transform the customer experience. Welcome, Ashwin.
Hello, Eldon, and thanks for the introduction as always. So everyone, it's a pleasure to meet you all here on this forum. As Eldon already introduced me, I really don't want to bore you again. I actually handle channel sales and partnerships for the Freshworks Africa here. And yeah, I've been here for around 3 years now, and AI is actually one of the centerpieces of our entire suite of solutions. So let's just jump into today's topic without further ado, right? Just give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen with you all. Yes, I hope everyone can see my screen.
It's coming up, and yes, we can see your slides. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So yes, as Eldon had mentioned, right, we are the parent company behind a suite of products that range from CRMs to the likes of Omnichannel help desks, as well as chatbots, which actually have quite a few functional and useful features, right, inbuilt because of AI. And a quick snapshot of our company as such: we were founded a decade back in 2010. Right, and we have close to $400 million invested in us till date. And one of the notable investors would be Google. We were the first company outside of the United States to actually secure funding from Google's investment capital G, right? And yeah, we have close to 200,000 customers now, spanning across different countries, and we have over 3,500 employees. And yeah, we have around 13 offices with presence across multiple continents, right? And who are we though? I've mentioned so much about us. What is Freshworks and what do we do? So we basically provide customer as well as employee engagement software that has AI in every step of the way. That is all inbuilt. So we don't really flaunt the fact that we have AI inbuilt. We rather let all our customers see the benefits that AI can reap for them, right? So yeah, these are the solutions. Maybe some of you would have come across some of these solutions because we do have quite an expansive footprint in Africa, ranging from down South Africa to up north as well as west and east. We work with a number of brands like say Dangote Insurance, PPS Insurance, MultiChoice, Liquid Telecom, and a few more. Right, so yeah, we have solutions that cater to omni-channel customer support. Freshdesk is our flagship solution, and we also have solutions for IT teams, which is where Fresh Service comes in. It's basically an ITSM tool, and we have a telephony piece called Fresh Caller. We also have an all-in-one sales and marketing CRM called Freshworks CRM. Right, and we have our one of our I'd say this is the best most value add solution out there, which is Fresh Chat. It's a live chat and a chat bot platform that actually integrates with a number of solutions in the market to provide a seamless customer experience no matter which channel a business's customers reach out to them from, right? So moving on from our product portfolio, so today customer behavior, as we know, has changed, right? So even you and I, we prefer reaching out to a business through WhatsApp or through Facebook Messenger, just chatting with them instead of calling them, instead of emailing them, instead of walking up to a store and actually having a conversation. We prefer the ease that digital messaging has given us, right? So in fact, there's been a 50% increase in usage of messaging apps like Facebook, WhatsApp Messenger, as well as the likes of Telegram during the past pandemic year. And this number might be a little surprising, but customers on average have only an 8-second attention span. Right? They expect a response within 8 seconds of having reached out to a brand. And in fact, 84% want a white glove experience. And what this means is they would like to be treated as a person and not just a random number like a customer, right? And I believe this is true for you and me as well at the end of the day. So this has actually led to an increase in customer experience expectations. So we have started demanding certain things of brands that we have come to expect because of the experience that's been provided by a market leader in some category or the other, right? So we expect a business to be available wherever we are, in terms, be it an email support that you need, be it a telephony support that you need, or like live chat or WhatsApp and other social media handles. We expect that to happen at a time of our convenience, which is basically whenever they want it, as well as something that is customized, right? This goes back to the white glove experience that we mentioned. Anything that is going to be generic or robotic isn't really going to be something that we prefer to have at the end of the day. We prefer that personalization, right? That personal touch, which is, I think, which is a fair ask, in fact, from a business, right? So yes, these are some of the news articles that we have just took a snapshot of, right, over the past year. Businesses have started to adapt with modern digital technologies for providing customer service. And if you look at the smaller snapshots that I've actually taken over here, what is the one common thread in each of these snapshots? If you look a little closely, you'll see that AI is available everywhere, right from Amazon to Vodafone to MetLife, HSBC, Wells Fargo. Everywhere AI is present, and that is the common thread that links a lot of businesses together, right? So yes, the world as we know it is shifting to a digital experience, right? Personalized support is essential, but then again, how personalized is too personalized, right? Businesses at some point of time need to draw a line between what is actually improving customer experience and what is actually a bit of an overkill, right? So anytime personalized support can actually be supported by a combination of adding a bot touch to it, like chatbots as we know it, right? So by using chatbots and a human touch hand in hand, businesses can actually reap the benefits of using AI, while at the same time improving customer experience and making sure that the overhead costs are lower, all through every step of the way, right? So yes, the need, why is AI such a big topic of conversation for everyone out there? It's because the need to provide consistent and superior customer experience is actually driving a lot of investment into AI. Brands are seeking to invest a lot more in customer experience, but then they also want a lot more returns as well. So just because an increment of human resources is done, that doesn't necessarily translate to a reduction in terms of any negative reviews or an improvement in terms of customer experience. So AI is actually going to support the humans or the agents. In fact, the use of AI by customer service teams is projected to increase by 143% over the next year and a half. And this number is actually substantial if you look at the scale of things in hand. AI is still has a lot of potential in a lot of markets, right? In apart from North America and the West, all of our markets are still in the process of learning the pros and cons of having AI and actually building tools to harness the maximum potential of AI. And this is only going to increase over the next few months or the next year and a half. And in fact, 80% of customer service leaders already use AI in customer experience or plan to do so this year. So 2021 is sort of becoming a pivotal year because from the past year, because of the pandemic, we have started to realize the importance of having solid customer experience, of having a dependable channel. And this works both ways, right? On the flip side, customers also prefer to go to a business that is more communicative, that is more open to actually having customer queries come in from any source and not just a single channel either, right? And AI is actually expected to power 95% of all customer interactions by 2025. And 2025 is not too far away. It's just 4 years away. And judging from how fast the last year flew by, we never know how soon it's going to come, right? So yeah, customer experience automation is actually predicted to be the number one use case by global investment this year. And this will include multiple geographical segments and not just a specific niche one. So yes, this would lead me back to Freshworks and what kind of a role we play in this whole AI part. So we actually built a very cute tool called Freddy. Maybe after this webinar is over, you all can check out Freddy AI. So Freddy, we built it so that you could provide exceptional customer service to all your customers at any point in time, right? So we have sentiment analysis. We actually give proper answers and not random articles for customers. We engage with customers and understand the intent behind them actually approaching you rather than just trying to reduce the load and deflect customer queries. And of course, the key thing about AI is that it learns and adapts, right? So Freddy actually learns. As you can see, this is Freddy. Freddy keeps learning, and over time, the more information that has been consumed, the more accurate and the better customer experience we're going to be able to provide to our customers, right? So again, one thing that a lot of people actually holds back a lot of people from adopting AI for their own businesses is because they feel like AI is actually for scientists. It's for people who are very technical, who have the ability to actually control and modify a tool according to their requirements. But to be honest, the Freddy tool that we have is actually for the common man, people like you and I, business people, as well as the tech people. So it's so simple to use that you're actually going to be able to use this tool without any formal training as such, without any formal certifications even, right? And to sort of wrap this entire slide up, right, a lot of us might be worried about the possibility of AI slowly starting to replace human beings. I know that is a concern, and that's been the case over a number of years, right? But unfortunately, that's not true, or maybe that is fortunate, because AI always works together with humans, right? That's how it is designed. The human touch is not replaced, rather, it is only magnified with the use of AI, right? All right, this is just an example of how we can provide answers instead of articles, right? And all of this is going to happen instantaneously. There's not going to be any sort of lag. As you can see, this is like a typical WhatsApp conversation on screen that I'm showing to you. They are actually having a one-to-one conversation with, it could be a bot, it could also be a person. From this, it's very clear that it's going to be one, instantaneous, two, personalized, and three, to the point, right? I think at the end of the day, a good customer experience boils down to these three things. And with AI inbuilt into your customer service, you can definitely provide that. And this isn't going to be limited to a specific channel, right? Let's keep in mind that customers could reach out to a business through any channel like WhatsApp or Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, WeChat, or even Apple Business Chat. You can provide the same support across all channels without any sort of gaps in process, right? So yes, at the end of the day, AI's job is not to just deflect queries, like I mentioned. You should also be able to delight your customers with the sort of experience that's provided to them, right? So instead of just deflecting queries, why not engage with customers, understand their intent, and then provide them a solution based on that? So by doing this, you can look at up to 70% reduction in resolution time and up to 80% of deflection rate, right? This is almost as much as 16 times higher than most of the people out there in the market, most of the rest out there in the market. Yes, and yes, Freddy always adapts. Just like any other AI tool, this is not a static algorithm. It actually uses machine learning to learn and adapt constantly, improving user as well as agent responses, right? And unfortunately, the same cannot be said by most of our competitors, which is primarily a keyword search to surface just recommendations, right? Yes. So again, once again, the goal is to provide a hyper personalized experience, because that is what customers of today, that is what you and I as well at the end of the day prefer. one needs to be able to understand the context of each conversation and make it easy for customers to actually service their needs without being asked too many questions and being harassed by a bot. Yes, so this is the last point that I mentioned. You need to figure out a middle ground in terms of working together and not replacing anybody, because if any software or any technology is being introduced in a negative light, it's not going to it's not going to fare well, right? So Freddy actually uses AI tech to unlock the true potential of agents and works hand in hand with agents to offer a seamless customer experience across all channels. In fact, agents can actually focus on complex customer issues instead of spending time on mundane tasks like something as simple as resetting a password. Don't really need an agent's attention, right? It can be solved by a bot itself. And that's what we can do for you with Freddy. And when I mentioned the word omnichannel, that is the buzzword being thrown around in the industry of today, right? Across Africa, there's a number of brands that have actually come to us saying they have a siloed experience. They have a contact center, they have email support, they have social media, they also have live chat or chatbots, but then they have different tools for different of these. So we can actually help combine all of these, collate them in just a single platform, and the AI ties these all together. It provides smart contextual information for both customers as well as agents. Yes. So the benefits of AI are actually threefold, right? With personalization, constant learning, and a scalable function, by working together with humans, we can actually achieve a threefold benefit. The first one is going to be for a business's customers. The customer experience is improved tremendously because of the hyper personalized support that's provided, as well as a general reduction in terms of wait times and an improved customer satisfaction, right? That's one. The second thing is going to be for your own agents, right? The agents are the face of a company. A happy agents means happier in customer interactions, which will at the end of the day lead to happier customer experience and better customer experience. And of course, at the end of the day, money is important. With AI, you can save time, effort, as well as money because of the reduction of ticket loads and increase in customer satisfaction. And the third benefit is for a business themselves. Whoever is going to adopt AI can actually scale their customer service wing without increasing their headcounts significantly. You can acquire customers for life by actually making sure to provide good experience, while at the same time making sure to provide even better experience for your existing customers by retaining them. So yes, this is the Freshworks promise that we actually make. Efficient implementation. We have done implementation in less than 4 weeks as well in certain cases. And for the brands in Africa that I'd mentioned, the likes of MultiChoice and PPS, Insurance, Sanlam and all, this was the same case as well. So we actually have a track record of less than 4 weeks at times as well. Implementations that involve more than 1,000 agents, that might take a little longer. That's one. The second is that we have a dedicated team, right? Every step of the way, our team of customer support, post-sales customer success, as well as account engagement managers will ensure that whichever tool you're adopting will be utilized to the maximum and there's no redundancies left as such, right? And one of the key things that would set us apart from most others out there is that we actually provide customer support as a part of our company's usual typical package, right? We do not charge our customers extra for providing support. We believe it is a part of whatever service we're offering. So we provide 24/7 customer support through email and 24/5 support through email and phone. And like I already mentioned, money is going to be one thing that's going to be on all of our minds at the end of the day when we're actually investing in new tech. And we actually have one of the best return on investment ratios out there in the market for AI and chatbot solutions. This basically is an account of the reduced ticket loads, the increased customer satisfaction, and other omni-channel benefits that you can achieve, right? All right. And this is just a quick snapshot, like I mentioned, of our customer base. Some of you might be familiar with some of the names and some of you might know a lot more. This is in the Middle East and Africa market again. And that's about it from my end for today. Any questions you have, I would love to answer them at the end of the call today. And yeah, thanks, Eldon. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ashwin. Thank you for sharing that with us. Was quite intrigued by the new terminology that you've introduced into the customer experience lexicon, white glove. So what is white glove? It's being served by a human. So I guess it's like going to, if you're lucky enough to live in one of those places, going into a very high-end apartment building or a hotel where the porter sees you and carries your bags with white glove. And I think the intent, or I believe the intent around the experience there would be convenience and upper-class, high-quality service. So really like that term. Thank you for introducing that to me. And then you spoke a little bit about AI replacing humans. And it brought to mind, I kind of am a fan of Elon Musk. I grew up down the road from where he went to school. And I see him as pretty much one of the most important people in the world at the moment, with all of the businesses that he is building, all of the businesses that he's creating. But Tesla had a problem on their production line a while ago, a couple of months ago, probably about a year ago. And they found out that it's because of overuse of automation, overuse of robots. And so Tesla actually took some of the robots out of the production line, replaced it with humans, with normal labor, and that actually really improved the ability to produce the vehicle. So I think that's a really, really interesting case study to kind of look at the dynamic around AI replacing humans, AI cooperating with humans, and what that will mean, what that may mean for our futures. Ladies and gents on the call, we're super pleased to have you. Please ask your questions into the chat. I'm shortly going to be looking at the comments and the questions. Just a reminder, my name is Eldon. I work in the customer experience industry. I'm a consultant and an advisor. I am also working on establishing a professional body within the industry to bring customer experience professionals together, to set standards, to put in place designations. Our next speaker is actually a part of that industry association. And I'm super pleased to be introducing Prof. Roberts-Lombard shortly. You are in the Machine Learning Africa webinar. We're talking about AI in customer experience. Please feel free to ask your questions, but I'm going to look very quickly at some of the comments that have come through. Perhaps there's a question for you, Ashwin. Okay, Jeffrey, Managing Director at Y-Wait. Jeffrey, thank you for the comment. Just really saying hello to everybody. Charles Mutenda, IT Manager at Musoni. Great presentation. Would you touch a little more on the ITSM services that Freshworks offers? Ashwin, ITSM, does Freshworks offer anything in that space?
Yes, so we have an ITSM tool called Fresh Service. Fresh Service is again going to be powered at the back end by AI, but what it does is basically it combines multiple tools that businesses use for their internal ticketing needs, for their asset management needs, as well as project management, along with a combination of just providing support to their employees, right? So it's basically an all-in-one one-stop shop for their ITSM needs. So Charles, would love to dive deeper into this and speak a lot more with you. Maybe we could connect in private. I hope this gave you an initial overview though of the solution.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ladies and gents, really that's all we have time for from Ashwin. We have to just take a quick break in order to connect some of our technology before Prof. Mornay Roberts-Lombard joins us. So I hope you don't mind. We're going to put you back into the lounge just for a minute or two. We will shortly be back with the next speaker. Thank you for joining us. Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to part 2 of our webinar, AI in Customer Experience, organized by Machine Learning Africa, but sponsored by Freshworks. So I'm very, very, very excited, and we had an interesting conversation full of passion and laughter offline, because the next speaker has been very involved in my personal and professional life. Prof. Mornay Roberts-Lombard is Professor of Marketing, Head of Masters and PhD Studies at University of Johannesburg. I studied at the University of Johannesburg, and Prof was actually my master's dissertation co-sponsor. So our relationship goes back a long way. I'm proud to say that Prof is really one of those really passionate people about customer experience, and we've had tons of engagements and spoken together on stages, platforms like this over the last couple of years to try and bridge the gap between academia and practice in relation to customer experience. Prof is the head of the marketing department at UJ, the University of South Africa. The specialization is in relationship marketing and customer relationship management that some of us know as CRM. Prof holds a PhD in business management acquired from the Northwest University in South Africa, and he started the economic planning division of SAN Lab as a junior economist before moving into the academic sphere. Prof has been in academia for 28 years, including 14 at UJ specifically, where his roles include management, research, and curriculum development. The Prof has published articles internationally and locally. He has delivered numerous conference papers at international and South African conferences, supervised multiple, here's one of them, postgraduate dissertations and awards at international, and published numerous articles in industry journals. He has been nominated and won 4 academic paper international conference awards, and is the editor and participates in numerous international journals, including the South African academic publication that's accredited by SACWA, the South African Department of Higher Education. So Prof. Roberts-Lombard, excited to hear from you again. We can't wait to hear what you have to share with us on how AI is transforming customer experience.
Thank you, Eldon. Thank you very, very much. And welcome to the audience. It's always nice to share some knowledge with people across the globe. And I'm most humbled to be able to do that from the most southern point of Africa here in South Africa. My topic today is looking slightly on how artificial intelligence is transforming the experience of the customer. And it is very, very important and quite introductory to say that customer experience is driven, by value perception ultimately. And research shows that 86% of buyers will pay more for a better experience. And that's what differentiates a business ultimately in terms of its competitive nature as well. By 2025, as many as 95% of all customer interactions will be through channels supported by artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence, therefore, will reimagine the whole customer experience phenomenon and ultimately will define how customer journeys will be developed and molded according to customer needs, blended with artificial intelligence over the next decade. Important statistics that I think is relevant for noting is that across the world, investment in artificial intelligence will increase by 300% over the next 5 years, and that's up to around about 2025. And 8 out of 10 businesses globally have already implemented or are planning to adopt AI as a customer service solution by 2025. And this shows the hardcore reality of artificial intelligence as part of the customer experience journey. By 2035, which might seem far away, but it's basically 14 years, artificial intelligence technologies are projected to increase business productivity by up to 40%. And it was very interesting now that I read this, in terms of what Eldon was saying around the transformation back to human involvement in production, because I think the ultimate drive towards artificial intelligence, we won't be able to stop it, but I think there's also going to be a turning point from the customer's perspective as to when enough of AI is actually enough, and when the human contact is going to be required at a more consistent rate. It might not be now, but over the next decade, we might see that the emotional side of human interaction might become actually more prominent. Machine learning and cognitive computing, helping businesses in South Africa to deliver excellent customer service. So let's come back to South Africa a little bit and just share what's happening down in this part of the world. Artificial intelligence bots will power 85% of customer service interactions by 2025. And that's the estimate for South African service engagement from an artificial intelligence point of view. That's the estimate. 67% of people expect to see or use messaging apps when talking to a business. We must keep in mind that South Africa have a growing younger generation. Our millennials are definitely those that will, and Generation Z as well, access the workforce and the customer market segment over the next decade, and they are the evolutionary drivers of this whole artificial intelligence need through customer experience. 40% of adults now use voice search at least once a day, and by 2020, that was last year, the research indicated that insights driven businesses had secured 17 trillion rands of income per annum by using AI to deviate customer experience away from what competitors are offering. So it's already in South Africa becoming a competitive tool of differentiation in either recruiting or sustaining your existing customer segment levels. So what are the future predictions if we have a look at that slightly? AI will power 95% of all customer interactions by 2025, including live telephone and online conversations. By 2025, which is 5 years away from now, not that far, customers would have managed 85% of their relationship with the enterprise without interacting with a human. That's quite a scary reality to think that automation is going to become so prominent and strong that the estimate is that 85% of global interactions will be done through AI. 78% of brands say they have already implemented or are planning to implement artificial intelligence and virtual reality. And the estimate was by last year already that would have been the case. So it's interesting to know that artificial intelligence in service delivery is definitely part and parcel of our roadmap for the next decade. Especially if we look at the fact that only 27% of global consumers say AI can deliver the same or better service than humans. And that makes us think as to this whole bandwagon drive of artificial intelligence. You know, is that really the ultimate way to move forward, or is that supposed to be a supportive approach toward customer engagement? However, 38% say artificial intelligence will soon improve customer service. So it's still a small growing proportion of humans that are of the opinion that it is the ultimate God in terms of service delivery. Although there's a growing tendency to see that artificial intelligence is almost winning a greater support amongst the global population in terms of their service expectations. Interesting is that 43% of millennials would pay a premium for a hybrid human bot customer service, and that's something we also should keep in mind. And I've been really a big supporter of the hybrid approach instead of a singularity in terms of the service delivery approach, because research done in 2020, especially academic research in your services domain and your psychology domain, shows that there is a growing concern amongst consumers that the artificial intelligence element do not have the emotional capacity to understand the sensitivity around the service failure or the sensitivity around the frustration of trying to get a problem solved. That is process, systematic driven, ultimately trying to find a processed solution, which does not necessarily touch onto the emotional side of what the consumer might be experiencing, engaging through a negative experience. So how is artificial intelligence transforming customer experience? As a question that you might be asking. And let's look at a few things. Businesses can make more accurate and personalized recommendations to customers because there's a bigger access to big data that artificial intelligence can use, and that could guide strategy formulation, identify which customer touch points works the best, and what are new customer touch points that customers are looking for. It could improve product recommendations. It could deliver around the clock customer support, which it already does. So it's really, artificial intelligence is really a mechanism that could drive an ongoing client service experience at any time of the day. But it shouldn't be the only form of client service engagement, because the hybrid approach is still quite relevant, and I think especially over the next decade will remain relevant, especially in emerging markets. So other ways that artificial intelligence can influence customer experience, it's through voice-enabled customer service, such as Amazon's Echo and Alexa, for example, or platforms that could be used for voice-enabled customer engagement. Customer insights can wonderfully be developed through artificial intelligence. You can streamline customer interactions because you've got this vast amount of digital information that artificial intelligence can use to improve customer service delivery. There's automated assistants like chatbots, as our previous presenter has rightfully acknowledged too. And there's also an improvement in the personalization of service delivery, because through artificial intelligence and big data, you can gather so much information and you could almost mold the service delivery towards a specific customer segment, or it could be individualized from a language point of view, or from a gender point of view, or from a specific income segment point of view. So how can we use artificial intelligence to transform it to the better? Let's have a look. Let's explore this a little bit. Improve customer experience with chatbots and AI-powered virtual assistants, which is currently actively being used and which will be expanded even more. The biggest impact artificial intelligence can have on customer experience is by making it automated, fast, and hassle-free. Chatbots, for example, are AI-based virtual conversation tools being used in various customer engagement scenarios. And this will effectively eliminate unnecessary delays, because there will be a 24-hour access to a chatbot that will be a front office, a first port of call to provide feedback on frequently asked questions or on critical issues that could be responded to through a quick and fast and efficient short response. With the help of artificial intelligence-powered virtual assistants, businesses can distribute content more effectively in various channels in order to cater to the right audience. So there could be a channel-specific type of service approach instead of a more broad approach that one can refine through artificial intelligence. If you look at number 7, for example, Facebook Messenger Bot helps shoppers find what they are looking for by engaging them in simple conversations. So it's not very advanced conversations. It's simple conversations that your AI get processed for to answer frequently asked questions and to be responsive, to almost have an expectation of the type of questions to be answered, to be asked. It can point out positive leads to sales by making sure that potential customers are targeted for the correct platforms, which will become much more important in terms of securing a fast and efficient service delivery. So if we look at predictive personalization, there are a few aspects that we can also look at. We can look at the effort and ability to predict the actions of users based on their previous behaviors. We can look at predictive personalization that will particularly come in handy for online shopping, where data collected from consumer behavior exhibited in online sessions is analyzed. And this is definitely becoming more prominent, especially with COVID-19, because in South Africa, the online buying channels have absolutely exploded. And the level of customer experience that has been put forward hasn't been expected to be delivered in the fashion in which it was delivered, because your retailers didn't expect this explosion in demand for the level of online buying that really COVID-19 brought to the fore. Then there are aspects such as the amount of time spent on sites that can be monitored, AI-infused procedures, which will make customer experience interactions much smoother, because through AI you can detect much more red flags on your customer journey, your customer touch points, which becomes more important in terms of management through an online perspective. We can look at AI-enabled analytics for crucial customer insights. And what does this mean? There are quite a few points that one can have a look at. AI can play a critical role in providing companies with, for example, actionable insights by feeding intelligence into CFM, marketing automation, and other key operational tools. You can have an AI-enabled customer journey, especially considering that 51% of customers say the expectations of companies are now being influenced by AI, which is quite interesting to note. Visual engagement along with voice and text sentiment analysis will help companies gauge emotions and sentiments in different types of communications. We cannot ignore the emotions element. We are emotional beings, and AI is still engaging with us as emotional beings. So there's still a lot of debate around how the emotional aspect of humans can be aligned to the service delivery approach of artificial intelligence. So visual, voice, and text engagements, the AI-powered visual engagement technology analysis, facial expressions in face-to-face and video chat conversations will become much more important over the next decade, with AI having to explore more into that type of human realities when engaging with AI. And then with the help of these AI-based algorithms, companies can determine how to route communications and identify satisfaction. So it's not just about getting the journey sorted out. It's also about keeping your customers satisfied through each touch point of that journey. And that ultimately is where AI will be actively involved in monitoring and managing that journey process. To conclude, a dramatic shift in decision-making is going to happen. The power of big data, AI, and machine learning has paved way for a decision-making metric. It is also being felt that decisions cannot be made entirely on guts and intuition anymore. We know that. And the success of AI will be measured in more practical ways, like return on investment, new market opportunities, diseases cured, etc. These are all achievements that will be made through a paradigm shift in terms of decision-making around the application of AI. So how is it applied to South Africa? I would like to just conclude with South Africa, because that's the country I live in. The South African automotive industry has developed several AI applications, from vehicle design to marketing and sales decision-making support, for example. The fact is, AI modeling and simulation provide a good grasp of changing consumer behavior, which is crucial to making the best marketing decisions in the short term and in the long term. Businesses are experimenting with a range of different technologies, including chatbots, robotic process automation, and advanced analytics. And 67% of South African organizations pinpointed machine learning as the AI technology most useful to them, followed by smart robotics and biometrics. And in conclusion, artificial intelligence is there to stay, as its future possibilities are insurmountable. Businesses have understood that AI-driven customer journey analytics will be their most fundamental requirement to deliver high-impact customer experience rapidly and effectively. And this specifically will be done through a blended approach, not just AI on its own. And with that, my colleagues and friends, I say thank you for the opportunity to present to you and highlight a few ideas around how AI can touch base with customer experience.
Thank you, Prof. We're going to invite the attendees to fire a few questions in very quickly, but I had one or two of my own. If you don't mind just going back to the previous slide, Prof. I'm quite interested in this whole decision-making metric and AI-driven customer journey. The one forward, please, Prof. Okay. Customer journey analytics. And I think
just
it also links...
Eldon, you said this one?
One forward, Prof, please. It doesn't really matter, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so, decision-making metric, because what you measure gets done, of course, right? And customer journey analytics linking to predictive personalization. One of the things that I've been thinking of listening to you now, for me, the implementation of AI directly at me has been problematic. And I would love to hear what people think about the maturity in that regard. But using journey analytics the way Amazon does, where I, for example, understand that at any given moment, they're running hundreds of thousands of experiments on the Amazon landing page to test for you, to test for me, for this person, that product placed here, that price, whatever. I think that is useful more in the back end in order to guide the business internally. But I'm finding that AI is not mature in satisfying me in my engagements on customer touch points. And I wondered if you had an opinion about that, Prof, whether you see the same kind of trend or whether you feel differently about it.
Yeah. Well, Eldon, research that was done in the academic fraternity globally has indicated that 2020 has become a threshold for consumer resistance. And what I mean by that is that doesn't mean artificial intelligence doesn't get embraced. It's what you rightfully said. It's the manner in which it is being applied to address customer engagement. Consumers more and more want to have ease of access and ease of journey traveling through an experience, but they want to do it by still feeling that they are human, that their emotions are understood, that their value systems are being respected and being acknowledged, and that their needs are being met, not just from a process point of view, but also from a emotional service engagement perspective. And I think if you look at what Amazon has achieved, I mean, they've now opened up their Africa head office in Cape Town, and they're starting off in a way where their whole consumer research is driven around the local needs of consumers and not duplicating their European, Asian, or North American strategies into a local domestic market. And then they blend that big data research that they get in and the qualitative research that they get in through the emotional engagement that people reflect on with experiences with Amazon. They build into their customer experience strategies that they implement or want to implement then on local soil. And then that's why their customer strategies are much more human and much more exciting in their engagement. Banks have faltered, I think, sadly, by using artificial intelligence more as a strategizing tool to recruit new markets rather than a developmental tool to manage existing customer segments through the different customer journey touch points. And that's why if we talk about the chatbot, it is there to provide a quick, fast solution to a critical issue or to have a 24-hour service engagement. But it's not there to drive a human interaction on the basis of understanding emotional engagement. And that element will still take a very long time before artificial intelligence addresses that successfully. And that's why you are irritated yourself, because of the fact that it hasn't achieved that yet.
Okay, thank you. I think we're a special kind of animal because we've spent so many years working in custom experience within the industry. So let's just look
Eldon,
at a couple
if I can just say also quickly, remember you also deal with a multicultural group of people. Your customer experience needs in Asia is not what it is in South Africa. And in South Africa, you also sit with different income groups, different socio-economic groups, which to a certain extent also have certain expectations. That you must also keep in mind.
Yeah. I've heard that a lot. I've heard that South Africa is an interesting country to do research in because we are so diverse. Thank you, Prof. You may unshare your slides because we're going to start preparing now for the Q&A session. But let's just see what people have said. Geoffrey, I like to point that AI is not replacing humans, but rather freeing them to deal with more complex matters. So I think this was probably during Ashwin's presentation that you said this, Geoffrey. But why are you saying that? I'm actually quite keen. Is it from an emotional point of view? Is it from a personal employment security point of view? Why are you saying that, Geoffrey? I'm quite keen if you could unpack that a little bit for us more, because we know we all know we can't stop progress, but there is an impact to us as well. Anthony Oniala, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, joining us from Kenya. So welcome, my African brother. In connection to what one of the attendees have asked, the good Prof from UJ, I know some of the things that you people consider as likely ethical dilemmas that Freddy is likely to experience and how Freddy will make choice. I wonder, Anthony, that is quite an involved topic, ethical dilemmas. If we answer that now, I think we are really going to lose time on the event today. I think it's a wonderful question. Ethical dilemmas. In South Africa now, we've got the POPI Act, the Protection of Personal Information Act, that has gone live, promulgated and gone live a couple of weeks ago. You've got GDPR internationally. You've got all of these online companies, Google, Facebook, Twitter, and so on, who, and I believe this, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So what are all of those considerations around ethics that need to be considered? And I actually think that maybe we should have another webinar on that. So if you're listening, Zanzela, maybe we can explore that topic and ethics in AI. So sorry that we're not going to be able to answer you, Anthony, but I think your point is very, very important. Lavina Ramkisoon, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your surname, but it's my straight tongue. Excellent topic on ethical effects. I love to hear more about this area. We have lots go wrong in this space, ethically speaking. So another comment around ethics as a theme. Kialo Masioka, analytics lead at Dago Research. Welcome, nice to have you. It is a fact that machines outperform humans when it comes to performing extremely bulky and engaging tasks like CX. Computers do not get tired like we humans do, and I'm a strong advocate for AI applications that bring speed and efficiency. So, Kialo, I'd love to engage with you on this. I think as a CX professional, I might differ with you a little bit, because I believe not in consistency. This is my personal belief, and it's in my dissertation that Prof and I worked on. I don't believe in consistency. I believe in a concept of contextual relevance. So first understand me as a being, that back to that white glove experience that that Ashwin was speaking about. And what I need and what you need and what my wife needs and my child needs and what Prof Mornay needs could be very different. So I first want to be dealt with, interacted with within the context of me and the context of my need. And then thereafter, we need to be consistent in the way you always treat me. So it's an interesting one, Kiala. I'd love to understand you a little bit more, but I think initially I might disagree a little bit with what you're saying. The people who were performing these tasks can be redirected to other functions that require human intervention. In fact, one commentator rightly said that more employment opportunities have increased in economies such as Japan, where AI and robotics have been used for some time now. So that's really comforting. I mean, Elon Musk himself says that as well. Many people say that we're freeing up humans of the mundane, rudimentary tasks and helping them to do more value-adding things. I really hope that will be the case. I still personally think that the jury's still very much out on that. In South Africa, for example, we have, and in America when I visited, it's very different. In South Africa, we have people who pour our fuel into our cars. When you go to a fuel station, there's someone who does that work. In America, you can get that, but you'll pay more. The fuel is more expensive. It tends to be far more self-service. And what I've realized, I saw it in America, I saw it in Europe as well. When I do that, I get back into my car, my hands smell like fuel, right? So I don't like that part of the experience. And maybe if I'm cost conscious, I might want to do it myself. But in South Africa, I mean, we're seeing, again, back to Tesla, they've got this fancy robot where your car's charger can automatically, it moves around like a snake almost. Your car's charger can find the charger plug on your vehicle. So, robots and so on can be built, even within fuel stations, to do automated fuel displacement. However, if we automated that industry, we'd put, a few thousand people out of work overnight, just like this. I'm sure, Prof, you would agree with me, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually a strategic decision to delay the implementation of technology for the sake of humanity. Now, is that progress or is that not progress? I really think it's an interesting dynamic. Anyway, I think we're running a little bit late.
Eldon, if I could just quickly say two things. First of all, you're right. I think for every petrol attendant in South Africa, it sustains about 3 people. So that's the hard reality. And secondly, I had a very good chat with a colleague of mine many moons ago when I was still teaching at Stellenbosch University. And he said to me that the whole value drive is now away from making the value for the customer. It's now the customer defining the value for the business. So the whole customer, like you said, the whole feeling that the customer is going to get when engaging with a brand is going to become more important than the actual service or product being delivered.
I actually want to follow up on that as part of our first question. But as we move on to Q&A, I would like to welcome Venkat into the conversation. Venkat is also with Freshworks. Welcome, my friend. We've been doing a couple of these now, so it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
He's the regional lead of Africa and the Middle East at Freshworks Inc. So first question I'd like to ask is, and I'm going to go with you first, Prof. How do we see digital adoption with respect to customer engagement? First, give me your definition of customer engagement.
Well, I think that's a very challenging question to ask me, because at the end of the day, it's as broad as God's given grace, I think, But customer engagement should be focused on 3 key issues. It should be focused on efficiency, it should be focused on acknowledgement, and it should be focused on experience. And if those 3 things are in place, then I think, your whole engagement process will be successful. And all 3 of those principles can be built around artificial intelligence, and it can be built around human engagement.
Thank you very much. Question in its entirety, if you don't mind, Venkat. How do we see digital adoption with respect to customer engagement?
Yeah, I just take a cue from Professor from what he had mentioned. So the digital adoption, what we are looking at, if you look at a couple of reports done by consulting companies, they call out there would be an at least not less than about 73% of digital adoption, which is expected by end of 2022. And of course, the pandemic also forced such an adoption rate. On the other side, I go with Professor's point. Out of 8 out of 10 businesses, wherein they would like to adopt to AI by end of 2025. I mean, with all these research view, it's a clear ball game that in about 4 years down the line, of course, we are going to see at least not as in about 80% of the companies getting adopted digital and of course artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Venkat, who's driving that? Is it consumer demand or the organizations that are investing in it?
Yeah, it's both the way, right? I mean, as a customer, of course, my intention is to get my queries resolved. And as Ashwin pointed out, in about 8 seconds, of course, the customer mindset changes. And of course, as you pointed out, of course, everybody's expectation is different, be it myself or Professor or Mr. Eldon. Of course, our expectations are different, right? When that is going to be the case, the customers forces the company to go for a digital adoption. And you may not expect customer to come in one way of a traffic, right? Maybe be it a social media or be it a mail exchanges or be it a call. You may not expect a customer to come on a voice call or in person to the store. And they will have a number of options. And they would expect a kind of a reactive response or I would say, proactive response from the company calling out the moment I raise a query, of course, irrespective of the channel that should get addressed. And that is where the omnichannel and other basic technical things are coming into picture.
Venkat, tell me, how do you differentiate between that response and resolution? And
So,
you can answer it specifically from a Freshworks perspective.
Sure. The response is normally a customer expects within fractions the moment they raise. They just look for an acknowledgement, at least on the query what they raise for. But the resolution come in a different ballgame wherein they look forward to have a solution on the queries what they raise it across. And they may not mind, say, for example, as a customer, I would raise my first level of query through an Instagram or a Facebook. Okay. And the follow through can come over a voice call. And end of the day, I would expect the company to synchronize both the platform and come with a single resolution which would address my query. Okay. And that is going to be the case. The companies like us, Freshworks, wherein we get into a platform wherein we take the different channel and just integrate all those things together as an omnichannel, and we give us a one solution to the customer. That's when Freshworks come into picture.
Prof, is there an academic/scientific perspective on this? Difference between customer response and resolution, and maybe a little bit about what you believe customers would expect.
I think customer response is where the efficiency of technology comes in. That's where you want to get a quick and fast and efficient access, an application or a website or some form of technology, a chatbot that could actually engage with you around issues that are easy to address. But the resolution is where the service failure element comes in. And that service failure element has driven already a negative emotional experience. And that negative emotional experience is enhanced by any forward interaction that the human have with any platform or any people engagement that follows that negative service failure experience. And that's why that part to me remains critically important through human interaction, because robotics is systematic processing in terms of solution finding, whereas human interaction drives an emotional understanding of a service failure experience. Now, that element would need to be more successfully integrated into artificial intelligence. I have no doubt it will. I have no doubt. We most probably will see in 10 years what we wouldn't believe is possible today. But academically, the research that we do critically illustrate a movement towards frustration with a technological system and a lack of understanding of human emotion in addressing the process that is being supported or put forward by the automated system. So like you say, the heart is not there, but the processing to a solution is there, and that leaves an emptiness, a void. That's why I said here, customer engagement should be a blended approach. The personalization of services can be secured through big data, but still through people engagement.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, one of my nightmares is, waking up and looking out of my window and there's an automated machine running and it's destroying everything in its path and no one can push the power button, So from a AI point of view, from a machine point of view, it's doing exactly what it was designed to do, but it doesn't have the empathy and the cognitive ability to say, well, actually the context now has changed. I need to stop. And that's where you need the human to come in. So machines are very good at executing on the critical ideal path. As soon as something goes wrong, I think we're not quite there yet in our maturity in order to address that.
Eldon, can I just give you an example? There are two big hotel chains in Cape Town and in Johannesburg. They've already in 2020 initiated robotic service delivery. So it's drinks and it's food and it's those type of things that gets delivered to your hotel room. But there is a client service manager that is engaging with clients whenever the delivery is at fault. So the service failure is captured by the human engagement. It's not captured by the AI delivery system, if you understand what I mean. So if there's any anger, any irritation, there's still a human that will solve that problem. But your delivery of after-hour food or whatever is now done by these two big chains at your room by a robotic system. It's not human anymore.
Okay. So you spoke about these big hotel chains. Prof, Venkat, I'd like to ask you, given that AI requires, quite a lot of expensive infrastructure, including storage infrastructure, volumes of data, powerful computing systems, and probably very expensive human skills, right? How can SMEs incorporate AI into their businesses and get value from it, given their limited budgets?
So the budget, when we look at the top level by looking at the function it has and the kind of data it deals with and the kind of resolution are, I would say, the path between the resolution and the query, how the responsiveness coming in across, by looking at that, it may look really a kind of a costlier one, but that's not the case actually. So if you look at for any such bot solution, what we are looking at, or an omnichannel solution, what we are looking at, the cost is too low when compared to a normal human engagement, what we are trying to do here. Because as Professor pointed out, human engagement is coming in terms of giving a critical solution over there. But in terms of communicating those to a bot and also receiving and storing it through a big data, of course, that is definitely not costlier as we believe. It is way beyond when compared to the one what we believe at this point in time. But of course, it is very much affordable even for an SMB or any such vertical, industry what we talk about.
Prof, I'd like to ask you, so if you look at South Africa, probably 3 tiers of the economy, extremely informal businesses. And there we can think of the likes of street vendors, taxi industry and so on, quite informal, probably not a registered entity. What I earn today, I eat today kind of businesses. And then possibly the SME market. That's maybe where I play as a consultant, small business owner. And then obviously corporate organizations and huge organizations, including government entities and the like. When you think of an outside-in point of view versus an inside-out point of view and everything that customer experience seeks to achieve, when you think of AI and responding to the answer that Venkat just gave us now, is there a need for us to democratize AI and customer experience more? Or do you think sometimes it just is what it is? A reason for my question, if you invest in customer experience, it will become extremely expensive. Becoming extremely customer-centric is very expensive because you're personalizing, giving everybody what he wants. And at the end of the day, it needs to make economic business sense, right? So there's this cut-off point, crossover point at some stage. And so maybe you then decide that customer experience and AI is not viable for certain segments. Is there a need to democratize? Can we ever democratize? What do you think we can expect in terms of where AI goes, giving value to people across the economic segments?
I think over the next 10 years, Eldon, we'll see the most dramatic shift in AI technology changes in customer experience in the corporate sector. If we look at the bottom tier, it's survival of the fittest. It's about, paying the lowest price to be able to get access to some products and ultimately to be able to survive on a daily basis. So fancy technology in terms of engagement is not going to make much of a big difference there. I don't see a big difference there in the next 10 years. I see it in big corporate where the big competition lies to not only recruit but also sustain your existing customer base, and convenience, efficiency, and 24-hour service delivery. As Venkat said, the omnichannel approach is going to become very prominent. I see that very specifically in the banking industry. I see it in insurance. I see it in the motor manufacturing industry. If we go to small and medium enterprises, I think they are laggards. So in other words, by the latter end of the decade, we're going to see them coming in as players because it's affordability as well. But as soon as competitors in that specific middle tier, if I can call it, your bottom tier, which is survival, your middle tier, which is your SME, and then of course your corporate, which is at on the top. That middle tier is going to be guided and directed by what corporate is doing. And as affordability of AI becomes more accessible, because it will over the next 10 years, I think you will have the stronger brands in that sphere to be able to afford it. But they will definitely be laggards. We'll see by 2030 a change in that sphere. But the biggest disruption is going to be in your corporate segments in South Africa over the next 10 years.
I have a follow-up question to that, Prof, but I would like to invite the attendees because I live in South Africa, Prof lives in South Africa, so we're giving a South African view. I mean, the three-tiered economy, the way I've shared it now, is that the same in other African markets? Do you see the same sort of dynamics play out? And what do you think about democratizing AI customer experience in your country? So I'd love to see your comments on that. Let's just also see what people have been saying. Geoffrey, I see your comment, Eldon. The issue is that it appears that there is some level of resistance in SA in embracing this due to job security. So I guess, Geoffrey, you must be referring to using automation in the fuel industry, the example that we gave. Yes, I think so. I think sometimes social problems and those kind of considerations take preeminence over the rollout of technology. Kiala, thanks, Eldon. Are you responding to my response where I said I differ on CX? Thank you for your response. The personal touch is extremely necessary, especially when interacting with the 21st century consumer. I believe computers should not entirely take over CX, but with machine learning, it is possible for computers to understand a customer and personalize responses to each individual. Kiala, I agree with you there. Yeah, so the truth is always somewhere in the middle. It's my customer imperative. It's the organization that's trying to sell to me and their imperative. It's what science is telling us, the area where Prof is sitting. It's what Freshworks, what Venkat is trying to do, because they do R&D and they come up with ideas, products, and solutions that they sell to the corporate, that the corporate uses to engage with me. And I think we need to constantly engage with each other, because the one thing that is going to be constant is change. You spoke about the 21st century customer. You're implying that there's change from the 20th century customer or whatever. So the one thing that's going to be true is change. The pace, the rate of innovation is massive on a daily basis. And so, I continue to look for forums and places of engagement where we can have these discussions and find each other. Prof, I see your comment here. Customer engagement should be a blended approach. Personalization of services can be secured through big data, but still through people engagement. The personal touch remains the human touch. So thank you very much for that. Kiolo agreed with you. Jadida Motoni, Customer Experience Manager at Unified Cargo Handling. He also agrees with you, Prof. Those are the comments that so far have come in, ladies and gents. We are really at the end of our time together, but there's so much more engaging conversation that we can have and we should have. I definitely think that we should come back and revisit the whole ethics in AI, ethics and CX conversation. Interesting to unpack a little bit more a non-South African view on customer experience, how your markets are structured, and what you're doing in the realms of outside-in thinking, customer experience, those investments, and artificial intelligence. My final question that I wanted to ask, maybe Venkat, I'll come to you, and then we'll close off with Prof. AI, the investments that are made by, as Prof has now said, corporates first, then perhaps the SME a little bit down the line, 5-10 years down the line, and potentially none of these kind of solutions and technologies being available in the informal sector. We're already in a country where we have one of the highest Gini coefficients, meaning that the gap between the wealthy and the less wealthy is very, 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 very large. And I've heard that in India it's probably similar, so you can relate to that. So what I'd like to get your thoughts on, if only the corporates invest in AI, isn't that again perpetuating and increasing inequality?
No, I'm sorry, maybe I'm missing Professor here, but I would to defer that statement. It comes from corporate to mid-size companies and then to SMBs. So it is starting in all the areas, because all predominant corporates, their original equipment or else the service providers are going to be a mid-market or also small business companies. And so the artificial intelligence starts from in all the areas, be it corporate or mid-market and SMB. And the second version, which I would like to call out here, is the gig economy. I mean, kind of an unorganized sector which we talk about, or maybe a sector which we do not get much of organized structure wherein we can bring in an AI or anywhere. Of course, even for those areas, of course, the clear bots or omnichannels which really step in terms of addressing their customer queries. So it purely depends on how the customer handling is going to be and the volume is going to be. You may be a small company or a bank which is hardly about 50 or 100 employees and with a very tiny turnover of about few millions. But the question come across, the volume of customer you handle with. The moment the customer volumes go for it, of course, they are definitely in need of a responsive AI, which would collect thousands and lakhs of queries coming across on a daily basis and similarly respond. That's going to be the case, of course. I would prefer it goes in all the parameters, be it an SMB, I mean small and medium businesses, or a mid-market or a commercial corporate companies. Of course, it would be artificial intelligence will play a vital role along for everyone, and in specific for mid-market and SMB, precisely because, of course, they may not be able to invest huge on the manpower and in terms of handling the customer volume. I mean, when the volume is to a level low, of course, it must be much more easier for us. When the volume go on a higher side, it's going to be really tough, and you may have to battle. Yeah, you may have to battle in between human manpower and the expensive systems what you can maintain. Also, invest for the infrastructure. When compared to that, of course, this AI is going to be a real solution for them.
Okay. Prof, I know you dropped out, so hopefully you can hear us and your signal is okay.
Yeah.
A comment, my question was, and then I'm just going to read a comment from Anthony. Okay, there, Prof, are you still with us?
Yes. Sorry about
ladies and
sorry about
gents,
that,
we have power issues that have crept up in the last week, so it's not unexpected that sometimes people drop out of meetings. My question was, if the corporates invest in AI now, SMEs 10 years down the line, and the informal market never, isn't that going to affect the Gini coefficient and inequality more? And Anthony's got an interesting point. So really now we're going into development, finance, economics, and those sort of realms. But I know you're well versed in that, Prof. Just your opinion on whether or not those inequalities will be perpetuated and strengthened by, you know, the rich getting richer because they're able to invest in futuristic technologies. The comment from Anthony, and then you can answer. In the process of innovation and change, there will be a huge global citizens left unemployable. We must therefore trigger our government to put up systems for UBI, Universal Basic Income, to cushion everyone rendered unemployable due to these technologies. So UBI, the program that was put in place by Joe Biden in the States now is coming to an end, and there actually are concerns about inflation, rampant inflation for the first time. So it's an interesting comment, but what are your thoughts, Prof, UBI, inequality, and the standard way of doing business?
Eldon, I want to start by saying, you know, we as humans are resilient. If we really look at the last 3 decades in South Africa, and we look at the fact that we've had all these global, you know, we've opened up our markets. I mean, we've had global brands coming in. We've had big corporate companies, you know, actually smothering and killing off small businesses. And yet people are still surviving. We've got an informal trade that's active and prominent. I'm not saying they've got the best standard of living, but at least they are able to sustain a living. So yes, on the one hand, we are resilient. We will be able to survive. Yes, we most probably will have an impact and an influence on inequality. But no, I don't think that we will ever shut down human endeavor, because I think people will find ways of building around, you know, having in smaller communities, in informal communities, you know, the spaza shop concept will remain. The cultural element, the African cultural element of people engagement, where people want to, you know, talk to each other and they want to have a chat, and that will be the differentiating factor in making a decision around buying corporate or not. Let me give you an example. I had an option to link onto Discovery Bank, or I had an option to remain with my existing bank, and I'm with Nedbank, and I'm very proud to say it. And the core reason why I decided to remain with Nedbank is not because of excellent service delivery. It's because of the fact that I've got a personal banker that I can personally relate to, and I can phone anytime I want, and there's a human that can engage with me around my issues. With Discovery Bank, you are engaging automated throughout, and that's not working for me. So you're gonna have that personal touch requirement as a non-negotiable until the day we die. Whether it's going to be 90% of service delivery or whether it's going to be 10%, that you will decide as a human being. But the need will still be there. People will survive, small businesses will survive, their growth will be hampered, but their existence will never be executed. That I can promise you.
Okay. Well, I think let's end it there. Prof, it's very nice to see you as always. Venkat, lovely to be doing this with you again, and I hope we do many more in the future. Ladies and gents from across Africa, from across the globe, super pleased that you spent some time with us today, and we look forward to engaging with you a little bit more. We've been in the AI and Customer Experience webinar brought to us by Machine Learning Africa and sponsored by Freshworks. Remember, Freshworks Inc. is the parent company behind the suite of products which include Freshdesk, Fresh Service, Fresh Sales, Fresh Caller, Fresh Team, Fresh Chat, and Fresh Marketer. So it's everything that you need in your business in order to be able to run customer experience. These products are designed to work together to increase collaboration, as well as engagement that we spoke about today, as well as help teams better connect and communicate with their customers and with their co-workers. Thank you so much for being with us. Look forward to seeing you again in the next couple of weeks when hopefully we do one of these again. I'm just going to part with a very naughty little thought. I would love AI to work for me in this way. If AI can do all of the things that I consider work, so I can spend all of my time to do all of the things that I like and love doing, and being on holiday all the time, if AI can do that for me and I can still earn my living, then AI will be useful. I know I'm being a little bit naughty, but hopefully we can see that that happen in the next 50, 100, or 200 years. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.